G'day and kia ora. Welcome back to AWS Summit Australia and New Zealand, broadcasting live from the AWS Summit Studio here in Sydney. I'm Dean Samuels, AWS Chief Technologist, and I'm here with my colleague, co-host and a customer favourite, Tiffany Bloomquist.
It's a lot to live up to. Thanks, Dean. It's so great to be here. As Dean said, my name is Tiffany Bloomquist, and I'm the New Zealand Country Manager for Commercial Sales. As we did yesterday, I want to say kia ora to our whanau in Aotearoa and begin with something we do in New Zealand to open any auspicious event. We use a karakia, or invocation, to honor our shared history and the historical caretakers of our lands. Te tawa mai I runga, te tawa mai I raro, te tawa mai I roto, te tawa mai I waho. Kia tau a te mari tu, te mari ora ke te katoa. Humie, huie, takie. Which basically means that we're all unified in our intentions to have another great day together.
As I did yesterday, I also want to acknowledge the Gadigal people of Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to the day we have in front of us. I don't know if you can hear, but there is a buzz on the floor out there. We've got a lot of background noise because we have a whole bunch of partners set up to showcase the work they're doing here. We hope you can feel that energy on the camera. The show is going to be full to the brim with education and inspiration for folks in all stages of their cloud journeys.
Now, everyone watching from home, from the office, or maybe from one of the AWS Summit watch parties, would love to hear from you today. If you have a question, an idea, something you want to share, or maybe if you just want to say hello, we are actually monitoring the chat throughout each and every one of our studio shows. In fact, you can start by participating in our first poll and telling us what you're most looking forward to today.
Now, if you missed a session yesterday, don't panic. You can catch up with all of the sessions on demand from tomorrow. We have heaps of awesome sessions coming up today to keep you busy, so take a look at what's coming up in the Find sessions.
Thanks, Tiffany. So maybe let's look at today's agenda in a bit more detail. Our keynote will be happening in a few minutes, hosted by our ANZ Chief Technologist for our public sector business, Simon Alicia. Simon will actually be talking about how tackling new problems demands new ways of thinking based on the lessons of the past, and exploring this idea that as technology changes, we actually need to give ourselves permission to change our minds.
But he also promised me robots and drones.
I
so
heard
we need robots and drones
highlight.
too.
Yes,
okay,
definitely worth tuning in. You'll actually hear from AWS executives and local customers who will actually leave you inspired and ready to do great things, all with the focus on sustainability and hitting key carbon reduction goals in advance of global commitments. Now, if you joined yesterday's keynote, you already know that you have the opportunity to win a limited edition AWS Summit hoodie.
Woo.
All you need to do is jump over to the keynote straight after this show to find out how. Now, I'm going to actually head off now and join Chung Vu at AWS DeepRacer. But while I do that, Tiffany, what else can we expect from day two?
Thanks, Dean. We'll see you soon. Let's check out those results from the poll. What do we have? Wow, it looks like many of you are really excited for our live show. Clearly, Dean and I are doing a great job. Dean talked about the technical sessions, but you don't need to be super technical to get value out of the AWS Summit. There's something here for everyone. Personally, I'm excited about the data professional and data science tracks, how you get insight from that data to really change your business. You can share how you embed insights with Amazon QuickSight and how AWS has worked with customers to use ML to reduce bushfire risks. We'll also hear from our sponsoring partners as they take us through how to optimize your cloud journey by leveraging partner solutions. If you tuned in yesterday, you'll remember the awesome live demos that Luke and James shared with us around the future of the environment and sustainability. Today, we'll be sharing 2 more live demos, this time around operations and customer experience. What I love about these demos is that there are components that are universal. So as you watch, I'd encourage you, please see how these are actually going to be applied, not only in the use cases we're showing, but hopefully in your organization or your teams as well. If you're watching from the AWS Summit platform, you'll be able to access a whole bunch of resources as well, like training, labs, AWS certification preparation, If you're watching on Twitch and want to join in on the action, just use the link below to join on the platform. And regardless of where you're watching from, we'd love for you to connect with us virtually by sending your questions and comments. And in fact, we have a question from our audience right now, and Dean isn't here to help me, so let's see what it is. All right, I've heard about DeepRacer. What is this and when can I see the winners? Thankfully, we're actually hosting DeepRacer. We've seen these wonderful examples before, and I know the answer to this question. One of the elements of the day that we're looking forward to with the DeepRacer competition is that it allows builders and developers of all skill levels to get hands-on with machine learning through a cloud-based 3D racing simulator. And we get to be seeing winners during the Up Late show at 5:10 Australia time, which is 7:10 for those of you in New Zealand, and 3:10 for those of you in Perth. I hope I got those right. In fact, Dean should be over at the racing track now with Chung Vu, so let's go over there to hear more now.
Thanks, Tiffany. I'm excited to be here with Chung Vu at the AWS DeepRacer track. So Chung, tell us, you're a principal architect at AWS. You're living and breathing this sort of stuff. But what's DeepRacer? What's the purpose? What can people get out of it?
Sure, Dean. And thank you, and hi everyone. I hope you're enjoying Summit. AWS DeepRacer is actually a system that enables and inspires developers to start and continue their machine learning journey. What we aim to do is inspire them to have a fun and competitive environment and compete with their peers. It's a 3D environment where participants actually train autonomous models using reinforcement learning. We can then evaluate these models in the environment itself, or we can take it and load it into a DeepRacer car that you see here. It's 1/18 scale, and we can race those models on the track that you can see behind me. And the way it works is that the model that finishes the track the quickest is the one that wins the whole competition. And you get bragging rights and lots of prizes, Steve.
Sounds awesome. A great way to learn about machine learning with that hands-on experience, Chung. But who would be most interested in AWS DeepRacer and why?
Sure. So anyone who wants to gain machine learning knowledge can start to learn DeepRacer. We assume no machine learning knowledge at all. And we have lessons and online tutorials to actually kick you off. You can then start by competing in the open division of the Global DeepRacer League. And if you are the top 10% at the end of the month, you can actually progress to the Pro League. And in the Pro League, you can win great prizes and even continue on to the championship at the end of the year in Las Vegas. If you win there, you then get crowned the world champion of DeepRacer for 2022.
Well, knowing what I know about ANZ, I'm sure we've got a league champion somewhere in our midst here. Way to represent ANZ, I can really feel it. So what's the grand plan for AWS DeepRacer as part of the AWS Summit, especially for maybe later today?
Sure, Dean. We've had more than 1,300 people registered, and that's an amazing number. They attended a workshop last week where they learned how to train and optimize their model. After training, they were competing in a virtual league, and we got the top 10 that we picked out that are going to be racing today. For the 5 p.m., they'll be competing in person on this particular track. It's brand new, the first one in ANZ, and they're going to be crowned DeepRacer champion, ANZ DeepRacer champion 2022 if they win this particular competition. Now, the top 3 racers will not only win DeepRacers or prizes and also a trophy, they'll be able to compete in the regional ANZ competition in October at the end of this year.
That sounds awesome. Now, I'm really excited to later today, 5 p.m, to watch these finals. John, thank you so much for that insight. Can't wait, like I said, to see it. Maybe let's head back to Tiffany in the studio. Bye for now.
Thanks, Chong. Sounds like there's some awesome prizes and clearly a lot of glory up for grabs. Tune in later today to see how those competitors go. Now, the next segment is one that is quite close to my heart as we're joined by 2 of my New Zealand colleagues from the popular Twitch show From the Field. We are excited to have them here with us to share some of their favorite stories from their show, some learnings from our customers, and how you can engage with them from New Zealand or wherever you are in the world. Kia ora to Trevor Kennedy and Casey Orr.
Kia ora everyone, and welcome to From the Field at AWS Summit. Exciting to be here on the ground in Sydney. My name is Trevor Kennedy. I'm a Principal Solution Architect based out of AWS Auckland office, where I look after our financial services and large enterprise customers. With me I have Casey, my co-host. Welcome, mate. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell the team, tell the audience a wee bit about From the Field?
Sure. Kia ora, I'm Casey Orr. I'm based out of the AWS Wellington office as a solution architect supporting SME businesses. Our From the Field show is really about telling the stories of using our services direct from AWS consulting partners and customers, giving a third-party perspective on real-world solutions or situations. Alternated with panels and presentations from AWS technical teams where we explore approaches and services to give our audiences new ideas for solving problems. It's a bit different than your typical developer-focused streams that you see on the AWS Twitch channel. It focuses on bringing you lessons learned from our experiences working with AWS solutions in the field with customers to leverage our breadth and depth of AWS services.
Yeah, it's very exciting times with the AWS regions for New Zealand landing in 2024. Estimated to create 1,000 new jobs, generate somewhere near 10.8 billion in GDP for Aotearoa. We love the streams to be interactive, lots of questions in chat. We'd love to see you there to give us some guidance on what subjects you'd like us to cover in future shows. If you jump into the chat here now, you can share your thoughts with us too. Speaking of subjects, to give you some context about what the shows we do, how about we talk about our favourite shows from last year?
Sure. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, look, mine's an easy one. I did a show with THL Digital. THL might not be a household name, but they are listed on the New Zealand Stock Exchange, and you've probably interacted with their brands. They're a global tourist industry provider. They hire out vans, for example, look after the Waitomo Caves. Obviously, with COVID, their business was hit pretty significantly, and they needed to change tack to be a bit more flexible on their feet, work on their feet. So they looked at the approach of breaking up monolithic applications into microservices. The tech they implemented was great, but what I found really interesting was their operating model, what needed to change for their cloud journey. This meant they changed the way that IT worked within their environment and to support the iterative way of working within their environment. I'm going to deep dive on this in a future show. So if you're on that journey, you can pick up some tips. What about you, mate? What was your favourite?
I think that the first show you always do actually really holds that special place in your heart. Like, your nerves are all over the place, you're not entirely sure what you're doing, and, it's primed to, make all types of mistakes. There was a show on Amazon Poly where it was actually presented with a local SA called Ratan and Mashik Teguri, which is a product manager located in Europe. So we also want to bring that expertise from all around the globe to the customers. And they went into an amazing amount of use cases, outlining when and where you'd use it, what customers, local customers they have actually used Amazon Poly, and breaking down the more advanced use cases of going into phonetics, making sure that certain vowels are stressed, and words are really, really hyper on point. But I actually like to think that on that first stream, I gave a really, really amazing 1.5 minute, 2 minute introduction, introducing myself, introducing the the whole thing, and I forgot to turn my microphone on, so I did a great solo introduction.
Well, I'm sure it was great, man. Good stuff. If that sounds like your type of content, tune in every Thursday on the AWS official Twitch channel, 12:30 p.m. New Zealand time. If you missed any of our previous episodes, you can jump onto twitch.tv/AWS to rewatch them.
And I also wanted to mention, Trevor, we have a LinkedIn group called AWS New Zealand Technical Community, which is a great place to be if you are already in a technical role, or if you're looking to make the jump. Definitely join up and join that chat.
Yeah, look, it's great being here today. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to throw it in the chat. We'll get back to you. Thanks, everyone. Back to Dean.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, Casey. We've actually got some results from the poll we ran earlier in terms of what are you at home looking forward, or in the office looking forward to today. And a majority of you, about 46%, mentioned the breakout sessions. I must admit, that's one of my personal favourites I'm looking forward to today, especially the deep dive expert sessions. But 21% of you also said live demos is something you're looking forward to. So make sure that you take a peek at those live demos that are appearing throughout the day. Now, it's really been great to hear what is going on in the field from Trevor and Casey. Like I mentioned, there is some great content coming up for the remainder of the day with the AWS Summit. Sponsoring partners presenting live demos, as I mentioned, streamed from right here on the studio floor. And of course, more of the AWS Summit Studio show featuring our AWS community. And so we'll see you soon.